The story begins in a bustling city in China, with the camera, or in this case, the reader's imagination, capturing the tense atmosphere inside Mei Lin's family home. The winter streets are lit with lanterns, a subtle reminder that Christmas is approaching. Even though it's not traditionally celebrated, Mei Lin is preparing for her life-changing journey, packing her belongings with trembling hands. Her parents insist that she marry a man she has never met, emphasizing the family's honor and social connections. She knows little about the groom, except that he is a cowboy from a remote town in the American West, a place that exists only in stories and pictures. As she boards the plane, Mei Lin's emotions are a mixture of fear, resentment, and curiosity. She doesn't understand why her life is being dictated by traditions she never agreed to. She looks at the red envelope of money her family presses into her hands, a symbol of duty, not love. She silently vows to maintain her independence, even in a foreign land where she knows no one. Meanwhile, halfway across the world in Wyoming, Jake Thompson's day is starkly different, but equally lonely. Jake is a man who has lived most of his life in solitude on his sprawling ranch. His days are filled with work, feeding cattle, repairing fences, tending to the barn. But at night, the silence of the house presses down on him. He is known in town as a kind but solitary figure, a man whose life has been shaped by loss and responsibility. This Christmas, he expects nothing but the usual quiet. However, a letter arrives from a marriage agency confirming that a bride is coming from China to marry him. Jake's first reaction is skepticism. He has seen the idea of arranged marriages in movies and read about them in books. But the reality of a woman traveling halfway across the world to become his wife is daunting. He wonders what kind of person would agree to this. Would she resent him? Would they have nothing in common? Despite his doubts, Jake feels a flicker of curiosity and hope. Maybe this could be a chance for connection in a life that has been otherwise solitary. The narrative then shifts to the journey itself. Mei Lin experiences a culture shock as she travels across continents, crossing oceans, continents, and time zones. The story can delve into the sensory experiences, the roar of the plane engines, the alien sounds of the airports, the unfamiliar food, and the cold, dry air of Wyoming that hits her face as she steps off the plane. She feels the weight of her family's expectations and the uncertain future ahead. Every step she takes towards Jake's ranch fills her with a mix of dread and fascination. Back at the ranch, Jake prepares the house for her arrival. Though he does not know what to expect, he instinctively wants everything to be welcoming. He cleans the living room, lights a fire in the hearth, and even sets up small Christmas decorations, something he has not done for years. There is an underlying tension in both characters, Mei Lin's internal resistance and Jake's nervous anticipation. Neither knows what the other will be like, yet both sense the magnitude of this encounter. When the moment arrives, the first meeting is awkward. Mei Lin steps out of the carriage into the snow, her coat dusted with frost, and Jake approaches, unsure how to greet her. The language barrier is immediately apparent, with Mei Lin speaking limited English and Jake knowing almost no Mandarin. Their conversation is halting, full of misunderstandings, polite smiles, and cultural missteps. Mei Lin notices the roughness of Jake's hands and the broadness of his shoulders, a physicality so different from the men in her homeland. Jake, in turn, observes Mei Lin's delicate demeanor, The way she clutches her small bag, and the careful precision of her movements. The outline emphasizes the emotional tension and character development in this first act. Mei Lin is not just a bride. She is a person with agency, fears, and dreams. Jake is more than a rugged cowboy. He is a man with a capacity for care and connection that has been dormant for years. Their first interaction establishes the potential for growth, highlighting both the cultural differences and the human similarities that will drive the story forward. The chapter or segment can end with a symbolic moment. Perhaps Jake gestures to Mei Lin to enter the house, and she hesitates, looking at the snow falling softly around the ranch. The silence between them is loaded with questions, anticipation, and the unspoken awareness that this Christmas will change both their lives forever. The story continues immediately after the awkward first meeting at the ranch. Mei Lin steps cautiously into the warm interior, noticing the scent of pine from the Christmas decorations and the comforting crackle of the fireplace. She is polite but distant, her posture rigid, as if she is protecting herself from both the physical cold outside and the emotional uncertainty inside. Her mind races with questions. Will this man respect her? What will life here be like? Can she survive in a place so alien, so far from the bustling streets and familiar foods of her homeland? Jake, on the other hand, feels a mix of pride and anxiety. He has prepared as best as he can, arranging a simple but welcoming dinner. Yet he worries that his efforts may fall flat. He notices Mei Lin's hesitation, the subtle frown that crosses her delicate features, and the way her eyes scan the room for escape routes. He tries to engage her in small talk, offering a cup of warm tea, showing her the modest gifts he placed in her room, and explaining the ranch chores she might encounter. But Mei Lin, overwhelmed by exhaustion from the long journey and culture shock, answers in brief sentences, her tone polite but distant. This outline explores the deep cultural contrasts between the two characters. Mei Lin is accustomed to a structured life with social rituals, extended family networks, and communal living. She finds the vast open spaces, sparse neighbors, and self-reliant lifestyle of Wyoming alien and intimidating. The cold climate is another shock, as she struggles to manage the heavy winter clothing, the icy winds, and the isolation that comes with living miles away from the nearest town. She also notices the stark differences in food. Jake offers hearty, meat-heavy meals, while she longs for the subtle flavors and textures of home-cooked Chinese dishes. These differences heighten her sense of alienation and remind her constantly that she is far from her home and family. Jake faces his own challenges. His world has been shaped by practical skills, routine, and a direct approach to life. He does not understand Mei Lin's more subtle expressions of discomfort, nor does he know how to navigate her cultural cues. He is patient, but sometimes unintentionally blunt, giving instructions about chores or household routines that Mei Lin perceives as demanding or critical. Their miscommunications, missing cues, mistranslated phrases, and differing expectations create tension, but also opportunities for empathy to develop as they slowly learn to read each other's intentions. Despite the tension, small moments begin to foster connection. One evening, as a blizzard rages outside, Mei Lin timidly asks Jake to teach her how to feed the horses safely. At first, she is nervous, fumbling with the reins and boots in the snow, while Jake watches closely, offering gentle corrections. His patience surprises her. In turn, Jake is impressed by her determination and willingness to learn. even when the task seems daunting. This shared activity is symbolic, a literal and metaphorical crossing of boundaries, as they work together in a challenging environment. The story can also include humorous and heartwarming incidents during this period of adjustment. For example, Mei Lin might attempt to cook a traditional Chinese dish using Jake's limited kitchen tools, resulting in a funny but endearing disaster. Jake, seeing her frustration, steps in to help, and their laughter breaks the ice, creating a first glimmer of genuine camaraderie. These moments gradually chip away at the walls between them, allowing them to see each other as people rather than strangers forced together by circumstance. Emotional tension is heightened by the holidays. Christmas, a time associated with warmth, family, and joy, becomes a backdrop for the characters' internal conflicts. Mei Lin feels the absence of her family acutely, comparing the cold, quiet ranch with the bustling Chinese households she left behind. Jake, who has spent many years alone during the holidays, confronts his own loneliness. Yet the shared experience of the season provides opportunities for empathy. Jake decorates the small Christmas tree with handmade ornaments and gifts, showing Mei Lin the meaning behind each item. Although she cannot fully understand the traditions, she senses the sincerity behind his gestures, and a subtle emotional connection begins to form. A crucial turning point in this outline involves a moment of vulnerability. One night, after a long day of work on the ranch, Mei Lin accidentally injures her hand while tending to the livestock. Jake immediately notices and rushes to her side, gently tending to her wound and insisting on helping her to the fire to warm up. This moment strips away some of their guardedness. Mei Lin sees Jake not just as a distant figure of authority, but as someone capable of care and tenderness. Jake, in turn, recognizes her resilience and strength, acknowledging that her presence is more than just a formal obligation. It is a courageous act of adaptation and bravery. By the end of this outline, the reader should understand that while tension, misunderstanding, and cultural barriers remain, the foundation for a deeper connection is being laid. Mei Lin begins to see that Jake's world, while harsh and unfamiliar, is not devoid of kindness or potential companionship. Jake starts to appreciate the intelligence, grace, and quiet determination that Mei Lin brings into his life. The outline establishes that their relationship will evolve through mutual respect, shared experiences, and the gradual bridging of cultural divides. The story enters a turning point in Outline 3. By now, Mei Lin has been at the ranch for some weeks, learning the routines of farm life while slowly adapting to Jake's world. She has made some progress, feeding the horses without mishap, learning to navigate the snow-filled terrain, and participating in the modest preparations for Christmas. Jake, in turn, has grown more patient and attentive, making efforts to understand her customs and preferences, and attempting to bridge the language and cultural gap with small gestures of thoughtfulness. Despite this progress, tensions remain. Their personalities, shaped by radically different experiences, occasionally clash. Mei Lin's reserved nature and cautious approach frustrate Jake, who is accustomed to direct action and decisiveness. Likewise, Mei Lin struggles with Jake's bluntness, his sometimes gruff tone, and his unfamiliar ways of expressing care. These differences create subtle friction, a misunderstanding over chores, a disagreement on how to prepare a meal, or conflicting expectations about household duties. Though minor, these conflicts underscore the emotional and cultural distance between them. reminding the reader that genuine connection is not instant, but hard-won. The real turning point arrives in the form of a crisis. One winter evening, a fierce snowstorm sweeps over the ranch. Winds howl through the trees, snowdrifts form rapidly, and visibility drops to nearly nothing. Jake realizes that the livestock, particularly a few pregnant cows, are at risk, and he must act quickly. He calls out to Mei Lin, who has been inside trying to adjust to the new environment, to help him secure the animals. Initially hesitant and afraid, Mei Lin feels panic rising. She has never faced such danger before, and the thought of failing terrifies her. Jake's calm yet firm guidance helps her focus. He instructs her on where to move the animals, how to secure gates, and how to navigate the snow-covered paths. At first, Mei Lin struggles, slipping in the icy terrain and nearly being caught in a drift. But Jake's steady presence reassures her. This moment becomes a symbolic test of trust. Mei Lin must rely on Jake's knowledge and instincts, while Jake learns to depend on her courage and determination. The storm, chaotic and threatening, serves as both a literal and metaphorical barrier, forcing them to confront their fears together. During the crisis, their communication evolves. Words are sparse, as the wind roars and commands must be shouted. But nonverbal cues, gestures, eye contact, shared glances become crucial. Mei Lin begins to notice Jake's protective instincts, the careful way he positions himself to shield her from danger, and his quiet concern whenever she struggles. Jake, in turn, observes Mei Lin's resilience, her willingness to step into the storm despite fear, and her quick adaptability to a situation she has never faced before. This shared challenge begins to break down their emotional barriers. Once the storm passes and the animals are safe, the aftermath provides an opportunity for emotional connection. Wet, exhausted, and shivering, Mei Lin and Jake find themselves sitting together near the fire, wrapped in blankets and drinking warm tea. There is a moment of silence, a rare, peaceful pause in which both reflect on the night's events. Mei Lin, who has spent her life following rules and pleasing others, experiences a sense of accomplishment and empowerment, realizing that she can handle challenges in a world far removed from home. Jake, who has long been isolated, feels a spark of admiration and gratitude, recognizing Mei Lin not just as a bride, but as a capable partner in life's trials. This outline also emphasizes inner transformation. Mei Lin begins to see that the forced marriage, while initially unwelcome, may hold unexpected opportunities. She is discovering strengths she did not know she possessed, both physical and emotional. Jake, meanwhile, starts to recognize that his heart has capacity for affection and partnership, even if he had long believed solitude was his only companion. The crisis catalyzes a subtle emotional intimacy. Trust, reliance, and respect begin to replace initial hesitation and cultural misunderstanding. By the time Christmas arrives, Mei Lin and Jake have settled into a rhythm of daily life, still adjusting to the cultural and environmental differences, yet now with a growing sense of familiarity and mutual respect. The storm from the previous outline has passed, leaving behind a pristine, snow-covered landscape that reflects the clarity and emotional openness starting to form between them. Mei Lin has learned how to navigate the ranch, while Jake has learned to appreciate her resilience, intelligence, and delicate yet determined nature. Jake, having grown emotionally attached to Mei Lin, wants to do something special for her, a gesture that will transcend words and language, and perhaps communicate the emotions he struggles to express directly. He knows she has missed her family and the traditions of her homeland. And he wants to create a moment that blends the warmth of Christmas with an acknowledgement of her culture. The story here emphasizes Jake's thoughtfulness. He is not merely giving a material gift, but crafting an experience that speaks to both her heart and the bond they have forged. The preparation for the gift itself is a story in miniature. Jake spends days secretly working on it, gathering items that will resonate with Mei Lin's background and his own experiences. Perhaps he arranges a small Chinese-inspired garden near the hearth, complete with lanterns, candles, and delicate ornaments that Mei Lin would recognize. He also prepares a traditional Christmas tree, adorned with handcrafted decorations and simple gifts that reflect his appreciation for her personality and interests. He even learns a few phrases in Mandarin to express his feelings, showing the depth of his effort and care. The tension leading up to the gift is palpable. Mei Lin, unaware of Jake's plans, is preoccupied with the holiday preparations and the unfamiliar customs of Christmas. She feels both nostalgia for her home and a cautious hope for connection in this strange place. The reader experiences her internal conflict. She is still wary, still adjusting. Yet she has begun to see Jake as more than a stranger or a duty-bound husband. She senses the subtle changes in their relationship, but she does not yet anticipate the emotional impact of Jake's gift. The moment of revelation is magical. On Christmas morning, Jake leads Mei Lin outside to a quiet, snow-covered clearing behind the ranch. Here he has arranged an enchanting scene. Lanterns hang from the trees, a small bonfire crackles warmly, and carefully chosen gifts and decorations reflect both her culture and his affection. The scene is quiet, intimate, and breathtaking, an oasis of warmth and light in the cold winter landscape. Mei Lin is struck speechless by the thoughtfulness and beauty of the gesture. Jake presents the gift, not a single object, but the scene itself, symbolizing his acknowledgement of Mei Lin's courage, her heritage, and their shared journey. He speaks a few simple but heartfelt words in Mandarin, expressing gratitude, admiration, and the hope that she feels at home here with him. His voice, usually reserved and roughened by solitude, carries genuine vulnerability and sincerity. Mei Lin is overwhelmed by the magnitude of the gesture. The combination of personal effort, cultural sensitivity, and emotional honesty communicates more than any spoken words could. The townspeople, who have been aware of the unusual marriage, may witness part of this moment or learn of it afterward, adding a communal dimension. Their admiration underscores the unexpected transformation. A forced union, once viewed with skepticism, has blossomed into a display of care, respect, and emotional depth. Jake's gift is not merely for Mei Lin. It also symbolizes the bridging of cultural gaps and the possibilities that arise when empathy and thoughtfulness guide human relationships. After the unforgettable Christmas gift, Mei Lin and Jake's relationship enters a phase of emotional stability and mutual acceptance. The story now focuses on the practical and emotional realities of their shared life, highlighting how a relationship that started as a forced union evolves into a genuine partnership. The reader sees the subtle but profound changes in both characters as they continue to adapt to each other and to their environment. Mei Lin, once timid and hesitant, has grown confident in her ability to navigate the ranch and survive the harsh Wyoming winter. She no longer views her marriage as a burden, though she remains aware of the cultural and familial pressures that brought her here. She begins contributing to ranch life in meaningful ways, introducing small aspects of her culture into daily routines, preparing Chinese-inspired meals for Jake, decorating part of the house with paper lanterns, or teaching him basic Mandarin phrases. These efforts are met with appreciation and curiosity from Jake, who embraces them enthusiastically, eager to learn and honor her background. Jake, in turn, continues to grow emotionally. He learns patience, empathy, and the importance of listening. Where once he had been blunt, solitary, and focused solely on practical survival, he now recognizes the value of shared experiences, emotional support, and partnership. The bond with Mei Lin teaches him that strength is not only measured by physical capability or independence, but also by the capacity to care for another person and accept care in return. The story emphasizes mutual adaptation, the blending of two vastly different cultures and ways of life. For example, Mei Lin may help Jake understand subtler social norms or gestures, encouraging him to consider emotional nuances rather than relying solely on action. Jake introduces Mei Lin to the rugged joys of ranch life, teaching her horseback riding, cattle management, and the rhythms of rural living. Together, they negotiate household routines, chores, and traditions, creating a dynamic that balances both of their strengths and preferences. Conflict still arises occasionally, though now it is tempered by communication and understanding rather than resentment. Mei Lin might accidentally break a tool or misunderstand a ranching task, and Jake gently corrects her, perhaps with a hint of humor. Similarly, Mei Lin's unfamiliarity with local customs or wildlife may cause small mishaps, which Jake treats with patience rather than frustration. These minor conflicts demonstrate that life is never perfectly smooth, but the couple now has the foundation to resolve differences with respect and care. A key moment in this resolution phase is the shared creation of new traditions. The story can show Mei Lin and Jake combining elements of Christmas with aspects of her cultural heritage to celebrate together. For example, they might have a festive dinner that blends traditional Chinese dishes with Western Christmas favorites, exchange gifts that symbolize their unique bond, or create handcrafted decorations that reflect both worlds. These acts are symbolic of the couple's emotional growth, illustrating that their union is no longer defined by obligation, but by mutual respect, creativity, and love. The townspeople, who have been curious observers of the cross-cultural marriage, begin to recognize the transformation as well. What was once a story of a forced, unusual union becomes a tale of inspiration. A couple overcoming differences, bridging cultural divides, and building a life together. This communal acknowledgement reinforces the story's themes of acceptance, understanding, and the power of empathy to transcend initial skepticism or prejudice. Throughout the resolution, romantic development is evident but subtle. Physical affection may be expressed through simple gestures, holding hands while walking in the snow, a comforting embrace after a long day, or sharing quiet moments by the fire. Emotional intimacy is equally central. They share hopes, fears, and dreams, gradually revealing vulnerabilities that deepen their connection. This growth demonstrates that love can emerge gradually from trust, respect, and shared experiences, rather than instant passion or idealized notions of romance.